What's up, everyone? It is 6:03 on a Wednesday, so that means it's time for the Clone Zone. I'm Alex,
I'm Molly.
and we're going to be talking about The Bad Batch, Season 3, Episode 13, titled Into the Breach today. Another action-packed episode. We're going to get right into it, but as usual, we have a guest with us today. It's a friend of ours from DragonCon, another Georgian. Please welcome Kyle from YHCTower.
Hey, everybody. Good to be here.
How you doing, Kyle?
Doing great. Enjoying Bad Batch, enjoying thinking about DragonCon. You know, I usually only get to see y'all at DragonCon, so it's nice to see you a few months in advance.
Yeah, we usually do DragonCon panels together. Kyle was refreshing my memory that our first one was a High Republic panel back in the day. So yeah, you're a big High Republic, you're a big Star Wars book fan and a book fan in general.
Yep.
You cover a lot of that on your channel, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely. I came of age when the only Star Wars content was definitely books, so I got into that. You know, reading now the old legend stuff. But continued reading that, ever since then. So definitely into all the new stuff, loving the High Republic. But yeah, also I try to rotate between Star Wars books and some non-Star Wars books. I'm definitely reading all the time. So yeah, I do a lot of book reviews on my channel.
I watch a lot of your book reviews because we are of the same generation. I was growing up in the 90s as well. So I had a lot of love for Star Wars books, and they're still very central to me for Star Wars. But when you're reviewing something that's not Star Wars, I check it out because I'm like, we probably have pretty similar tastes.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't always as much Star Wars content y'all read. I was like, I don't know, I have to change it up every once in a while. So
I was gonna say there's not usually a time where we have a chance to read something non-Star Wars. It does happen, but
I'm doing pretty good this year. I've read 4 Avatar books, a lot of Avatar comics. So I just swapped to another fandom, and I'm reading a bunch of Avatar stuff. But I have broken up Star Wars quite a bit. I might try to read Shogun. I saw it's like a 1,300-page book, but
yeah, I've heard good
the series
things about
has been
it.
good.
I guess if I've changed up anything with Star Wars this year, it's been Dune. I reread the novel again, and I've seen the movie now 4 times in the theater. So that's been my fresh up, but to between Star Wars stuff.
It was fun after seeing Dune Part 2. I have read the book, but I am not versed in the lore very well at all. So we went and saw Dune with a bunch of friends. And then afterwards, we went out, grabbed a bite and a drink. And I was asking them all the questions they normally ask me after a Star Wars movie. But it was nice to have that reversed. Have someone else explain a bunch of stuff to me.
Yeah, Dune's awesome. I think if you like Star Wars, you should check out Dune at least once.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's good to see where George Lucas got a quarter of his ideas. Stole some from that, took some from Flash Gordon, took some from samurai movies.
I wanted to bring this up. Johnny C. Books and Comics asked, how many ACOTAR books have I finished now? I'm still working on the Pink book, which I believe is the 3rd book. So it's been a slow process. Those are long books. And I paused reading that one so that I could read The Living Force. I'm like halfway through that right now, but still enjoying those. Glad to have some fairy smut on the side to read alongside my Star Wars.
Maybe they'll cross genres a little bit with Temptation of the Force. It's sounding like there could be a romance element to that book.
I would love that.
No, there's some that elements in the High Republic as well, so you can get a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Well, we are actually here to talk about the Bad Batch. We'll talk about books throughout probably, but today's episode was 13, so we have only 2 episodes left. But Kyle, how have you been enjoying the Bad Batch as a series and season 3 so far?
I've been loving it a lot. I think I'll probably always have a special attachment to this show because it's the first animated series on Star Wars I've watched it as it's came out. I was in college when the Clone Wars came out, and I just kind of like, oh, that's for kids. That's probably not for me. And then by the time I heard good stuff about it, it was already several seasons in. Like, well, I want to watch it in order. How do I do that? So it wasn't until Disney Plus came out that I finally started binging my way through all the Clone Wars and Rebels and Resistance. In fact, that's really the first thing I watched on Disney Plus was the Clone Wars. So, the Bad Batch was kind of fresh in my mind because I just had seen those episodes when they announced the series. And, getting to watch it as it comes out, it's been a really cool experience. I've loved it a lot. I really Identified a lot with Wrecker right away. He was kind of probably my favorite character. It's nice to see another Star Wars character that shares my terrifying fear of heights. So that was nice. Although I think a lot of people probably say I have more of a personality like a Tech, but been loving the series and seeing how it's gone this year.
Yeah, we are still so similar. Like I was in college when the Clone Wars was, or both of us were in college when Clone Wars was coming out, and I was like, it's probably for kids, and just didn't give it a shot when it was out until much later in life. And so I didn't grow up with it, but getting to watch Bad Batch week to week is such a different feeling. We got to do that with Rebels as well, which was great. But yeah, I also love Wrecker. Also, my personality is probably closer to a Tech, but where do you stand on all of the Tech theories? Because I'm sure that's going to come up in chat tonight.
Yeah.
It comes up every single week, but is there any chance or hope of seeing Tech again in this season?
I don't think so. I mean, when I saw that episode, it didn't even really crossed my mind that he might have survived until I started seeing people talk about the theories and stuff. And I have a feeling if they were going to bring him back at this point, they would have dropped more hints that one of these special soldiers was him. So at this point, I don't see it happening, but who knows? Nobody's ever really dead in Star Wars. So
yeah, no one's ever really gone.
I'm with you. I think Tech is gone. But it is funny seeing some of the people, the way they do take little hints. They see hints where they want to see them. And sometimes they win me over a little bit where I'm like, okay, maybe.
I'm starting to see so there's so many people on Star Wars Twitter that think that the CX clone is like some kind of re-envisioned version of Tech. And I'm starting to see them slowly decline and be like, guys, I don't know if this is happening. And it's like really sad to see that.
I understand being in deep denial about Tech being gone and just wanting hope for him to come back. Because I remember when it happened, both of us did not accept that he fell to his death. We were just like, no.
I was like, they wouldn't do that. They did that.
Yeah, it definitely shocked me when it happened at the time for sure. But yeah.
With only 2 episodes left, I'm thinking pretty slim chance. But what did you think of this week's episode, where we're basically continuing off the heels of Juggernaut, which started the episode with just straight into the music after the title card, which I don't think has happened before. And then this episode repeated that. And I feel like they're trying to maybe connect these final episodes in that way, just almost to make it be like, you should watch these all together when they're all out, because it feels like they would just flow one into the other.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's kind of feeling like a little mini arc to end the season, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. Very action packed. I like the way they broke it up and you had both storylines happening at the same time. I think if we just had focused on a mega side or just focused on the rest of the batches side of the storyline, we'd been like, well, what's going on in Tantiss or what's going on with the rest of the batch? So I liked how they split it apart, and you felt like you really got a full storyline on both sides of them. So I really thought they did a really cool job with the episode, and I didn't really know how it was going to pan out. I wasn't sure if they were successfully going to be able to get on that ship to make their way to Tantiss. I'm glad to see that it seems like they're already on their way there. So I guess the last 2 weeks will be fully on Tantiss.
That surprised me. I fully thought the last episode would be, we finally made it to Tantiss. I was surprised that they pulled off a pretty harebrained scheme. I feel like they're what do you think of their plan? Because I feel like the second they get to Tantiss, they're in trouble. Like they're gonna be seen.
Yeah. That part, I'm not sure they really fully thought out what we're going to do when we get there. I'm a little surprised they brought Rampart around with him, because he's going to backstab him at some point. So I'm a little worried about all these loose ends they're leaving up. I guess they're just thinking we just need to get there. Once we get there, we'll just figure it out. So I'm almost imagining the scene in Serenity where Firefly, the ship just shows up at the end and there's this massive battle. It's just random thing. I'm kind of expecting something a little bit like that. Just utter chaos.
Yeah.
Molly, are you surprised they're getting to Tantiss so quickly?
Not really. I loved how this episode went because you keep describing it as action packed. I think compared to the last episode, the action in this one is like a little more stealth than action until
Sure.
we get to like the very last bit. But I love when the Bad Batch gets to be kind of stealthy, and this episode does such a great job at building tension for what's about to happen. And the end of the episode, you're just like, come on, like I gotta see what happens next. And I think for Hunter, that was the moment. Like he was like, I have to take this chance. Like we might not get another chance at getting to Tantiss. Now's the time. Like we're out of options. So I'm not really shocked that they're already on their way there. As far as when they get there, yeah, I have no idea how that's gonna look. If I don't know, like how the shields and sensors and stuff work, if they can just kind of like slip in with the ship that they're on, or like when they detach, are there immediately gonna be like turrets going after them? I don't know.
It's like that. So they're attached to this ship, and I assume the second they exit hyperspace, they can detach. But they're going to be like, hey, there's another ship in our orbit. Also, Echo is stuck on the science vessel without a way to get back to them. Which, by the way, Echo, I'm so glad he got so much to do this episode because he's been not around that much in season 3.
Yeah, I love that part of it because honestly, that was maybe my biggest complaint about this season. It felt like he'd been regulated to like basically a background character, not even really a member of the team anymore. So I was afraid we were just not even going to have him a lot in the finale. So I'm glad seems like he's fully a part of the team again, and really took charge. So like I thought that was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It was good to have him around, and just get to see him be stealthy and awesome, like rolling off crates and back talking to Rampart, who was also wonderful. I agree with you. Bringing him is probably trouble, but he is really fun to have around.
Yeah, I mean that to me was the tension in this episode. Every time he ran into another Imperial, I thought like, oh, this is where he's going to sell him out. So I'm kind of interested to see where we go with him and when he decides to make that move.
I think he was having a lot of fun pulling rank and getting to be in uniform again. Like he's I forget what they said to him. They said something like, don't F us over. And he was like, I'm here, aren't I? He is kind of like keeping us on our toes about whether or not he's gonna sell them out. But I don't know, it seemed like he had fun pushing the other people around.
Just pushing everyone's buttons. But yeah, he had some of the best lines in this episode. Molly, you pointed out when we were just watching it again, but when they're talking crap about him and he's off camera,
he's like, I can hear you. That line shocked me and kind of came out of nowhere because it was like off camera and it was like comedy gold.
Well, yeah, he definitely was the comedic relief in this episode. And I think, if this was a sitcom, his new tagline would be like, I hate clones. So like, that'd be like every time he would say that once an episode and it would get a big cheer from the audience and stuff.
Slides in like Kramer.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're absolutely right as far as the tension goes, that the question is, will he sell them out or will he wind up being loyal to them? Because that's Hunter spells it out. It's like the Empire betrayed you, we helped you, but he's still an absolute turd. So I could see him trying to turn them in to regain some favor in the Empire. Where do you see that going, Kyle?
Yeah, I think it really just boils down to is like how much does he hate the Empire, or does he more blame the clones for his downfall and stuff like that? He doesn't really seem to have any love for Hemlock. So I have almost a feeling if there's some way that he can like get back in the Empire's good graces, but also, screw over Hemlock, that's maybe the way he would want to go. So like maybe like, hey, I can be the new person in charge of Tantiss now. Like I call it the intruders or something like that. But because he definitely wants to be in control. It's not like he just wants to be back in the Empire. He wants to be the vice admiral.
Right.
Rank matters.
The demoted line was another good one.
Yeah, you'd think he would be grateful that they pulled him out of that insane prison planet. He was doing all that hard labor. You'd think he'd be a little bit grateful, but yeah, he's just grumpy and complaining the whole time.
Well, I think he's grateful, but doesn't want to keep getting pulled deeper and deeper into all this. And now he has to go to Tantiss too, which I think is hilarious. I love that he is still on this mission. I hate it for the batch, but I like that story-wise he is still around.
It'll be interesting to see almost like the showdown between basically the two big villains for the series, Hemlock and Rampart facing off. So I didn't really think we were going to get to see that, but I guess we will.
That's true. Yeah, I thought that after the midpoint of season 2, Rampart was just done, and then Hemlock was going to be replacing him as the big bad. But I'm really excited to potentially see them butt heads. Maybe the Zillo Beast will eat both of them at the same time. That's my theory, is that we're gonna see that Zillo Beast again.
I wanted to bring this up from Maddie Gunner. Is Rugged Rampart the new Hot Callus? I don't think he's quite Hot Callus levels. He has the potential still. We've got 2 more episodes. He has potential to like really prove that he's changed and he's on their side now, but I don't really see that happening.
Rugged Rampart, I like that okay as the nickname, but Hot Callus, part of what made him hot was his turn back to the good side.
Yeah.
And the
we
hair.
haven't quite seen Rampart do that yet. He's just kind of along for the ride.
Well, that kind of brings up something I wanted to mention. This episode, we got some really strong Imperial facial hair game in this episode with the Rampart. You get the random officer on the space station, and then episode starts, and my first thought was like, oh, there's an Imperial officer with a very strong mustache. Alex must be very excited about this.
I was like, check out this guy.
I kept on racking my head. I was like, has that guy been there before? Where did this random mustache guy come from?
I'm sure he's been wandering around on Tantiss, but yeah, I definitely was like, this is how the episode starts, huh? Yeah, and we had the bearded Imperial, and we had the bearded Warden from Erebus last episode. A lot of beards going on this time.
It started last episode. I was like, hold on, that guy's got a magnificent beard. And then that plus Rampart having one, and then this episode we got another guy with a pretty good looking beard, good mustache. I'm digging it.
Facial game strong. Facial hair game.
Facial game.
Facial game. I'm on allergy medication and my brain has been messed up. I was trying to tell Molly earlier I had brain fog, and I was like, I have brain frog today and can't handle it. But since we were talking about something that I'll go ahead and show my drawing that I did with the bearded Imperial. I was really hoping that we would get back to the ship and Wrecker would be like, I had to knock out like 8 people and there'd just be a pile of bodies. We just have there's the bearded Imperial that he actually knocked out, but I just thought it would be hilarious if Wrecker had a pile of unconscious Imperials that he had to keep taking care of.
They look dead.
Their eyes are closed. I would have put X's if they were dead.
Sure, that makes sense.
I didn't catch this until I did a rewatch episode, but when that officer comes on the ship and Wrecker's just kind of sitting there relaxed and propped up, he almost looks like he's playing a game on his cell phone, which makes me wonder, like, what type of game is Wrecker playing? Is he a Candy Crush type of guy, or is he like really cerebral and like doing like the New York Times, like crossword Sudoku. Puzzle or something like
I figured he was on Star Wars TikTok.
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
I thought it looked like he was scrolling, so it's like, oh no, Wrecker's doom scrolling and reading Imperial propaganda.
The way he was sitting though, with his like legs crossed and propped up, it was giving me Han Solo vibes of like when Han was in the uniform on the Death Star. I was like, yeah, that checks out.
I didn't notice that until the second viewing too, but I thought that was a fun detail. Molly, what did you draw?
Oh, well, we haven't even talked about.
Well, this is an excuse to talk about it.
The other half of the episode, which is all the stuff with Omega on Tantiss, and my drawing is just like a quick little quiet moment that she had when we all think that she's about to get caught, and she's just like, what? Is something wrong? Like, that was just such a badass moment for her. And I don't know, it was just like a quick moment that I was like, she's got this down. Like, she knows exactly what she's gonna do. She's gonna get these kids and the clones out of Mount Tantiss. Like, she was so confident this whole episode that she's like, yeah, I got out of here once, I'm gonna do it again.
To me, that moment reminded me instantly of Andy Dufresne in the Shawshank Redemption when the warden comes there and like he hands him his Bible and it's in there the entire time. I was like, it's very cool because basically it's a cool combination. You get like a planning of a prison break on one side, but also on the other side they're planning to break out the other way and stuff. So you get both sides of it, and how Omega's plan seems to be better fleshed out in the Batch's side. She's more cerebral about it. Really enjoying that. She's taking charge.
Yeah,
I love like, Omega.
She's taken the kids under her wing. She's like, I got a plan. She made the little layout with the little toy pieces, which I thought was really cool. A lot of great top-down bird's eye view shots in this episode, very reminiscent of the Narkina 5 arc, where we get to see the prison building on Narkina. This episode for her was so good.
She is just all around badass. Like, not even worried, instantly making friends with the other kids. That line of just like, can I tell you a secret? I've broken out before and I'm going to do it again. And we're all going to do it together. And the kids are like, who are you?
Yeah. I'm waiting though for one of the kids to ask like, well, why are you back here? Like, how far away did you get?
Yeah. I mean, to tell the truth and just be like, hey, I gave myself up to save a bunch of other people. Like, I'm that awesome.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see how she takes these kids. Like, there's a point in the episode, I think, where you can hear like a light version of the Bad Batch theme as she's looking at those 4 kids. And that's her new team, and she's going to use them, and they're going to get out.
Yeah. Do you think we're going to see any of those kids use the Force? I keep forgetting that they're all like Force sensitive. And if you are a member of our Patreon and watched our reaction when what's her name is like walking in about to almost catch Omega doing whatever she was doing, I was like, someone Force choke her. I was like cheering for one of the kids to like use the Force to like make her trip or something. But then that just like made me think, like, will they try to use the Force at any point? Have they ever really tried, or they just like accidentally have used it in the past? I don't know.
I would think so, maybe, but I mean, we really don't know like how, I guess, strong in the Force. We've only seen Baron, I think is his name, actually kind of use it. So we haven't really seen the other ones even do anything. So we're not even sure what they can do.
Yeah, we know that they have a high M count, but they may not have had any. They probably haven't had any formal training, so they might not know their own abilities. But yeah, Baron is at that level where he's just doing it intuitively. So I'm still hoping that something like Matt from HoloNet Marauders last week suggested that Omega is just carrying Baron around and he's force pushing things, or he could be force throwing those little blocks that he has. He seems really fond of them.
Well, I guess since y'all already showed y'all's drawing, I'll go ahead and touch on mine, which I am not an artist at all. But
excellent choice.
Yeah. I love the moment of that little mouse droid go like, clearly did not want to go on that ship, and now he's just stuck.
I love that we know that that's how they get droids on ships now. I don't know if we had seen that before, but the fact that that thing kind of like lowers to different heights to pick up different droids and had to go all the way down to get the mouse droid.
Yeah, I don't think we had seen it since I'm trying to recall if it had been seen since A New Hope, and the Sandcrawlers use it for the Jawas use it for the Sandcrawler, and then Fee had one for her droid. But yeah, the one that like lowered down to get the mouse droid was excellent.
And of course, I want to know now, like, what was Echo's plan to get on this? Because it didn't seem like that's what his plan was. He just seemed like, oh, I saw that. Well, let's do that,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was just an Indiana Jones. I'm making it up as I go, and I wonder if it's something that scans for droid parts or cybernetics, and he's like, oh, I'll make it past that after what happened to him in the Clone Wars.
Mm.
But yeah, that was a lot of good comedy moments in this episode for one that was so tense.
Yeah, for a serious one, they definitely worked in the comedy, and it all felt warranted. It didn't really feel out of place.
Yeah. I am nervous for Echo, though, that someone's gonna ask him about like where his hand is if he's trying to be stealthy and if he is seen.
Well, right now he sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
He's just in his black armor.
Yeah.
But like if he gets like if he steals someone else's armor, like I don't know what he's gonna do. But that also made me think like, oh, at first I was bummed that they had Wrecker wait back on the ship, and I was like, oh wait, Wrecker really sticks out. He's huge. No one would believe that he's just like a normal guy.
I was pretty bummed. I was surprised at how bummed I was to see them removing the paint off of their armor.
Yeah.
Just that's such a central part of clone identity and how they express themselves, and seeing them have to strip it all away bummed me out.
Mm.
Yeah, I was always a little surprised at some point they didn't find just like a spare set of armor of just regular, so they could kind of go under disguise, because they were constantly just wearing their original batch armor and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely seeing it taken off was definitely a surprise. I don't know if it's almost a symbol of like this is their final break with their past. They're starting a new life, and now they're leaving everything behind that was what their personality was, and they're forging a new identity now.
Mm.
Yeah, it's definitely symbolic of that. It's symbolic of them reminding themselves, reminding the audience that they're all clones. Like they were special because they were Clone Force 99 and the Bad Batch, but as they go into Tantiss to save Omega and to save their other brethren, like it's kind of bringing them all on the same level. It's like, yeah, we're all clones. We're all the same. We all need to help each other out and get out of here.
Speaking of other clones, one of the biggest things I was surprised about is the fact that they're just kind of going in just the Bad Batch. Do you think we're going to see more from Rex, Gregor, Hauser, hopefully Cody, Wolf? Are we going to see more of them, or is it just going to be the Bad Batch saving the day?
I was assuming we would have kind of like a team up for the last bit. I mean, I was kind of surprised when the episode started and Fee wasn't there anymore. I kind of assumed like she was going to be their pilot for the rest of the thing, and then you'd almost have all their friends from along the way would kind of help them in some part for the finale. So I don't know, once they get there, if there's some way they can kind of put out a distress call, and then suddenly while they're, last second, then you have the other clones show up, led by Rex or something like that. But yeah, I'm a little surprised there wasn't, like when Echo showed up, like, why was it Rex or somebody else with him? Why was it just Echo?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I had the same thought. I just figured, let's get a whole crew together and we'll head out. But just Echo showed up. I guess he said something about it was on short notice. So maybe they're all trying to do other things. I guess it's smart to not put all of your clones in one basket when they don't know if they're going to be able to reach Tantiss, and their whole plan is kind of insane. So maybe Rex was like, why don't you go? And if you make it, send us a text or something.
Yeah. Speaking of Fee, I did want to bring this up from Andy. Detach into a Fee fall. They could pull another Fee fall, as we were all calling it.
That's true.
When they detach from that ship, when they get to Tantiss.
I guess that's true.
That would be just like a fun way for us to see that again and see them continuing to learn from Fee.
And I agree with you, Kyle. I was expecting a big team up of not just the clones, but yeah, let's get Fee. Let's bring in some of the other friends they've made along the way. That's a very, not just Star Wars, but also like Avatar, other shows when they are ending their whole series, like a lot of characters will come back and help save the day. Star Wars Rebels did it too, but it seems like it's going to stay more clone centric, which I'm okay with. I mean, it is their story.
Mm-hmm.
What about Batcher though? How are we going to get Batcher? I've seen a few people asking where Batcher is. Will Batcher be able to make it to the final battle? Because she deserves to be there, I think.
Yeah, like on one hand, I'm glad she's not in like the direct firefight and in direct danger, but I'm like, she's kind of like the lost member of the bat. Like she would be trying to help as much as she could, but I'm sure we'll see her again. We better.
Especially since she came from Tantiss, so that seemed like that would have been appropriate, or anyway, like maybe she could have got the other guards, underside, that were in her kennel and stuff like that. So it seemed appropriate that she would come back to her home. Maybe even she knew a secret way in or something like that.
Yeah, that would make sense if like they were there to release all of the clone prisoners. If Batcher somehow gets there and releases all of the other, I don't know what breed or what species they were.
Lurkahounds, I think they were called.
Lurkahounds. If she comes and releases all the other Lurkahounds, it's like, oh, that would be so cute.
Maybe she's secretly best friends with a Zillo Beast, and that's how she could have gotten them involved.
Ooh. Yeah. She's like, guys, I know the perfect thing.
I did like someone last week in the chat suggested that she could have like found them a way in through the kennel or something. So it would have been fun if Batcher were on the mission, but it is kind of nice that we don't have to have anxiety about anything bad happening to her. Kyle, since you bring up the Zillo Beast again, what are your thoughts on Omega? What do you think she is going to try to do to get out with the kids? Will the Zillo Beast run rampant once more?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I can almost see something like in the last Guardians of the Galaxy, movie when Rocket Raccoon's like, hey, no, we're bringing everybody off this ship when we get off here. So I could see her thinking, like, Omega, we've got you. Let's go. And it's like, no, we're taking everybody. We're taking these kids. We're getting all the clones out of here. Let's hit that button that y'all have talked about that opens all the doors, and let's do a mass breakout. Because I just don't see her wanting to leave anybody behind.
Mm-hmm.
So you're on Team Zillo Beast is in there?
I think so. Yeah, I'd be surprised if we don't see a glimpse at it at some point in the finale.
The fact that they've mentioned the area for the larger experiments, I'm like, come on, we gotta see it again.
They wouldn't have shown it. I keep saying it. They would not have shown the Zillo Beast being taken to Mount Tantiss if they weren't going to bring it back, right? Please.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they could have just killed it in that episode and been done with it. But the fact that they showed it going to Tantiss. We've
made so many jokes about, Boba Fett rides a Rancor through town. Well, what about Omega riding the Zillo Beast out of Tantiss?
Hopefully.
I don't know that she's going to ride it, but yes, I do hope
set
we
it
see
free.
It again, and I hope it gets set free this time.
I'll be interested to see what she gets up to in the walls of Tantiss, which I think is really cool. Yeah. It's very this whole episode felt very Andor again, like the prison arc, all white and sterile, and Omega asking like, how often do the scientists and the droids come? How often are they watching us? She asking all these questions, immediately making allies and formulating a plan, and then digging into the walls. It's just very, very Narkina 5.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of an easy way they could do some Easter eggs is if she's escaping, just like have her go randomly into rooms or look through a window and go like, oh, what's that? And here's a random thing we saw in the Clone Wars, or there's a Zillo Beast or something like that,
Kind of like Cabin in the Woods, just like a wall of stuff. And they're like, oh God, now we have to pause it and look at every single cell.
Wall of Easter eggs.
Yeah. Like, here you go, nerds.
For that to be in the finale, that would be great. That would be so fun.
Yeah, every character that people ask you about. So like Corky could be in there,
Rod of the Hutt.
All the random people, yeah.
Barris is in there somehow.
So glad we're going to get to check that one off the list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think we've covered everything that I wanted to. Do either of you have anything else you want to bring up before we get into questions?
Just that Baron is super cute. I love the little thing where he's like feeding the little stuffed animal and stuff like that. So like nothing better happened there because
Yeah.
that will be crushing.
Yeah, I was, when we rewatched it today, I was like, at least he's in high spirits. You know, he's so young, he probably doesn't know what's going on, but he, you know, he's like kind of having a good time. So that's good, I guess.
I feel so bad for Sammy, who's
Yeah.
like very attentive to Baron and constantly holding him and comforting him.
And she has that line where she's like, don't worry, you'll get used to it. I wanted to cry when I heard her say that. I was like, no.
She seems like the saddest one. But yeah, I thought all the kids need to make it out of there fine.
Something I noticed in our rewatch today was when Omega gets a hold of that tool off of the tray, as Emery is kind of leaving her cell, she kind of like looks back, and I was like, does Emery know she took that and is just like glad about it? Like, is she like just turning a blind eye and being like, Omega, if anyone's going to get out of here, it's going to be her. So do you guys think that she knew that Omega has that tool?
I hadn't really thought about that, but I would like that because I'm really hoping she has a moment where she decides to help them and finally break from Hemlock. But I hadn't really thought about the possible that maybe she kind of, hey, here's a tray here. I'm going to turn my head and let you get something if you want it, you know. So possibly.
I had not noticed that at all until Molly, you pointed it out that she does kind of look back into the cell as she's leaving, and I'm like, okay, I do think there's a chance that she knows Omega is up to something. I don't know if that was her plan going in there, but she noticed a tool was gone, because I kind of thought it would be weird if they were just like, hey, one of our tools is missing. But if Emery's like, it's missing, but like, that's all right.
And she goes, Alex, you pointed out that after that scene, she goes up and kind of pulls rank on the other scientist lady and is like, I'm in charge here. Everything's fine.
Scalder says something like, it's a mistake to keep Omega with all the other kids. And Emery is immediately like, well, it was my decision. I'm chief science officer. So shut up. It's like she might be hoping. She might be taking a very, like, the least effort required to help these kids, but she might be doing something.
Yeah. Well, in her position, I think it's smart because she is in charge of this area, and it would be beneficial if she kind of stayed in that position as long as she can because she has all the access and everything. So I hope that she knew about that little tool moment, and I agree. I hope she has like a big moment where she can help out in a big way.
I think, well, yeah, we've talked about this at length, but Kyle, how do you think Emery is going to wind up? Do you think there's a redemption moment in her future?
I'm hoping so. If I had to do a prediction, I could see her do a thing where like she does something almost like sacrifices her life so somebody can get out. Like, I'm going to stand here and stop the troopers, or Hemlock's going to know she did something and instantly have her, you know, executed or something like that. But I'm hoping we get a moment. It'd be nice to see like all the clones unite and go like, no, we're not going to take this anymore.
Yeah. She's been, well, we don't know how long she's been on Tantiss, but I think she's been there a long, long time, and she knows it pretty well. So when the moment comes for their escape, I think she'll be able to help out a lot, especially if she's got the little data pad that they use in every single door.
I think she's at least been with Hemlock for a long, long time. It'll be interesting to see if we learn more about Tantiss. You know, I'm always like, well, when did it start? When was it founded? We'll get a timeline later.
I rewatched the episode today where like Hemlock shows up on Tantiss and like she's almost walking in with him. So it almost seems like she's been like his aid wherever he was. So, but I don't know, was that the first time he'd ever been to Tantiss, or had he been more on Coruscant or what? But it seemed like that episode, it's almost like she was coming with him.
What happened to Nala Se? Is
she's still just in a cell.
In a cell? Okay, so I wonder what's going to happen with her.
Yeah, that's a good question. Do we think she's going to get out? I mean, we do know that there are some Kaminoans in the future of the timeline down in like the sequel era. So
I think if she gets a chance, she'll sacrifice herself in order to help Omega and the rest of them escape. I don't want to see her die, but I also feel like she's been through so much, she might die.
Yeah, I have a feeling I can see her sacrifice herself, because if anything, I can imagine the escape will involve a lot of running. I don't know if you've ever seen a Kaminoan run before.
Nala Se doesn't do anything fast.
She does not run or speak fast at all.
I'm more on Nala Se's side after the Bad Batch, but she still did my boy Fives dirty in the Clone Wars, so she has a lot to answer for, I would say, if we were to go back and rewatch.
I think that's fair.
Season 6.
If she sacrifices herself to help Emery, who already like kind of called her out in the last episode or two about like, oh, are you going to throw them away like you did me? I don't think they're on the best terms. So I hope there is a moment where Emery sees Nala Se do something to help them.
I could see, kind of like you said, Omega wanting to get everyone who's imprisoned there out. So I think she'll probably have another moment with Nala Se, because she was Nala Se's aide. Oh, that's an interesting parallel, that we have Nala Se and Omega, and we have Hemlock and Emery.
Oh yeah.
So I think there's definitely something there. We'll see Nala Se again, but there could be some parallel storytelling there where Nala Se helps Omega, sacrifices herself maybe to save Omega, and Hemlock obviously would not do that for Emery. Maybe give her like a final wake up moment.
Yeah, I really hope there is a good solid moment between Omega and Hemlock, because in the last episode they had so much kind of like one-on-one time where he was kind of being real with her, and he almost seems like she's not a threat anymore. He seems so confident that now that she's back on Tantiss, they can get right back to work and everything is going according to his plan. And when everything inevitably hits the fan, I hope that they have a moment where Hemlock sees her getting everybody out, because I just want to shove it in his face.
Yeah, I was a little surprised he wasn't in this episode, because I figured once she got back, he would be very, very hands-on with her, just because of knowing how important it is to the Emperor. So it's a little surprised he just kind of handed her off to Emery and was kind of doing other stuff, maybe hanging out with the Zillo Beast, this day or whatever, making his rounds. But I guess since we did get to talk about Hemlock a lot, I do want to say, I think he might be the best original villain they've created for any of the animated content. He is absolutely amazing. He definitely reminds me of a lot of book characters I've enjoyed, that you hate them, but every time they come on screen, you're like, yay, he's around, because he makes it more interesting. Nothing redeemable about him, but it's just the best pure villain that's also competent. Because Rampart was always, it seemed like he exactly knew what he was doing and wasn't the best at his job. Hemlock seems like he is smart and knows what he's doing. He's just pure evil.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't seem as interested as climbing the ladder as Rampart was. He did ask the Emperor to be chief science officer of the Empire or whatever, but I feel like he just wants more freedom to do weird science
weird
crap.
Experiments.
Yeah. It does seem about just the cruelty and the science, quote unquote, of it all for him.
Well, he seems like one of those evil scientist characters that would be very much the only thing that matters is science, so everything else is not even worth his time. So he probably looks down upon the military and politics, and science is all that really matters, and but just from the worst possible viewpoint.
Yeah, and I like that they've already set up that little moment between Hemlock and Tarkin, because in my mind, Tarkin is kind of like in the back of his head, just waiting for Hemlock to royally mess this up, so he can be like, "Yeah, I knew that would never work."
Either mess it up or do something right and then swoop in and try to take credit.
And yeah, somehow Hemlock will die and he'll take credit for it.
We'll find out that Tarkin's name is on the deed for Mount Tantiss.
Yeah, I could see a moment where, like, at the finale, like, he calls for help and somebody like Tarkin's like, "Oh, no, sorry, can't get there. You're
sorry,
on your own.
You're breaking up." I like that idea.
Do you think we'll see Palpatine on Tantiss again? I know we've seen a bunch of like TV spot moments, but I don't know if any of them are new footage of Palpatine on Tantiss.
I think every piece of footage they've shown us with Palpatine has all been from that 3rd episode. I feel like if the Bad Batch really messes up Project Necromancer, it would be nice to see one scene with the Emperor being like, well, crap. Like, what do I do now?
He kind of loses it.
Yeah, I mean, it would kind of be interesting to see him lose his cool.
If he has a Kylo Ren moment.
I still want the Zillo Beast to eat Hemlock. I want that to be his downfall, but, getting zapped by Palpatine, that's an all right way to go for him.
Yeah, if something happens to Hemlock, maybe a ending could be Palpatine putting somebody else in charge. So at this point, I don't know what Moff Gideon is up to, but like, I don't know if you'd have a scene where like, "Hey, I got a new project for you," or something like that,
That'd be an interesting cameo.
Yeah. What if we get a moment like, what's her name? Deidre and Andor, where the people are about to tear her apart? Mm-hmm. What if the clones get a hold of Hemlock? They wouldn't do that in an animated show.
Yeah, just cut away.
I wouldn't mind seeing it.
That or throw him to the Zillo Beast. Zillo Beast feels like a good way out to still do something pretty bad to him, but like, if a mouth just closes on him, it's not graphic, it's not bloody, it's just like, well, he's gone.
He's gone. Yeah, I don't know.
Sorry, I just saw a question that I wanted to bring up. Okay. Jared Kozal suggests that we might not see Palpatine himself, but we might finally see what's in those tubes. They keep going through the laser gate, and every time I'm like, oh, they're going to show us what's in that room, and then they turn down to the nursery again.
I don't think they're going to show us.
You don't?
They have to. I mean, if they don't do that, they know how mad they would make people. People would just be furious after. Like, we never got to see the tubes.
I think we know.
Show me the tubes.
We know what's in there. It's like weird, creepy looking naked Palpatines, or like Palpatines in a little diaper, a little back to diaper,
It does feel kind of like the Jaws idea of it's almost scarier not knowing. Like, we all figure. Yeah.
That feels more like Star Wars animation to me, that they'll plant the idea of what's in there and not really show us. But I would be happy if they did show us.
Maybe we see a moment. It's not a fully adult Palpatine, like it's a teenage Palpatine or something like that. Just in there, like, oh, he's not fully ripe yet,
It's like a little baby Voldemort.
Yeah.
Gross.
Basically, Palpatine's like, ew, disgusting, looking at himself. Well, I'm gonna dive into some questions, unless people have something else they wanted to bring up.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Well, our first super chat is not a question; it just says, "Hey, everyone from work. Thanks, Power Rangers Explained." And hey, I hope you're enjoying work. Hello. All right. Gary 24 fan. Hey, good to see you. Omega, and thank you for the super chat. Omega's becoming Star Wars MacGyver. If she finds a paperclip and a Bic lighter, she'll blow Tantiss to smithereens all on her own. What was that tool?
It looked more like a tongue scraper was the closest thing I could think of. Yeah. So, like, I don't know what that is, but yeah.
It looked like a pottery tool. Like it was just like a
I can see
handle
that.
with a little wire piece on it. I don't know what it was supposed to be for, but
I do like we're getting to see like her show like skill she's learned from everybody. So to me, this is episode like where this is like stuff I learned from tech, to kind of like make stuff and figure stuff out,
mm-hmm.
There was that
planning side from Hunter.
I feel like there was also the confidence element that maybe Sid taught her, or maybe it was just something she always had, that kind of hustler energy.
She could get that from Fee too.
Yeah, that's true.
The
Okay, I like Fee more.
Yeah.
But that moment that you love, Molly, where Scalder comes in and she's like, is something wrong? Like that just felt very hustler Omega to me.
Especially from the beginning of the series, because when you watch that, like she is not good at lying whatsoever at the beginning. Has no chill at all, and now you see how she's evolved, and like she's able to kind of play stuff off, and not lose her cool and just be in the moment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which maybe some of that was stuff she learned from her very short lesson from Ventress.
Oh yeah.
Like
that was the last
herself.
time. Yeah, she didn't have very much chill when Ventress was saying it has to do with the Force, and she's like, I'm a Jedi.
Yeah.
She learned to bottle that up.
Mm-hmm. But now she knows. So okay, I'm trying to think of like stuff that she learned from Ventress and from that episode. Now she knows how important and how dangerous it is to be Force sensitive, and so that's giving her even more of a motivation to help these kids.
Queersland, Australia, thank you for the next one. Sorry if this has been asked. Why didn't the batch just take Batcher to a space zoologist and go, what planet are these animals from? I like that idea a lot.
Because it's just a pet now. Batcher's just the household pet.
Yeah,
that would be funny if they were just like a well-known animal, like a bantha. It's like, oh yeah, they're from Tatooine. Like everyone knows Lurka Hounds
like
from Wayland.
A Star Wars version of like a Google image shirt.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what's this animal?
Just take a picture. Reverse image search this. That's what Wrecker was finally doing on his iPad while he was waiting on the ship.
Maybe they have a pet cam and he was looking back to see like how she was doing in boarding school or whatever.
Oh,
I love that.
That'd be cute.
But yeah, I there's so many creatures in Star Wars that I assume it would be difficult to pull that off. We'll go with that.
Yeah. Amaranth says, I'm guessing Wayland has been hidden like Camino. Probably.
Surprising.
Yeah.
I had seen a bunch of people asking today, just why didn't they put a tracker on the ship instead of, Echo deactivating the sensors and all that. I'm going to assume they were out of trackers and that Crosshair shot their last one into the ocean on Pabu. That there's a reason that they didn't use a tracker. They just didn't verbally say it in the episode.
I guess the only other thing is, they mentioned, Rampart mentions that like the science vessels have like heightened security. So maybe they really double check to make sure they're not being tracked in any way. I hadn't really thought about that. Yeah, maybe they're just out of them.
Yeah, I feel like the science vessels especially would have some kind of anti-tracker, anti-homing device technology on them.
I think that makes sense. Ice, thanks for the next one. Another fantastic episode, but wow, did it have me tense the whole way, especially at the end. We're just firing on all cylinders at this point. Can't believe there's only 2 left. Loved seeing Omega act as a leader and rally the other kids. Her telling them she escaped before and their stunned reaction was my favorite. Seeing her growth continues to be a highlight. I was so glad Echo got to be a major part of this mission. He's been absent for most of the season, and I have some criticisms of how often he's used, but when they have used him, it's been fantastic. I agree with all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think hopefully now that we know Echo is on that ship and on his way to Tantiss, I think he's going to have a nice big part in the rest of the show and like playing a big part in releasing all the clones. Because make sense for him after all he's been through, you know, like that would be really nice to see him be a big part of that.
Yeah, I mean, you would think of all the clones, he'd be the one that this would mean the most for. So I can definitely, it's only fair that he plays a major role in this, the two last episodes.
It's always been his thing, like back in season 1, telling Hunter we should be doing more. And of course he leaves in season 2. But yeah, after what he went through with the Techno Union, obviously he would have a huge issue with other clones being experimented on. So I'm glad that they're giving him a bit of the spotlight, and I hope it continues.
Yeah.
I guess I had a quick question with the finale, because I know it's not supposed to be a 2-parter, but do you think it'll be like an hour episode, or you think we're just going to have like a 30-minute finale? Because I'm hoping for I want as much content as possible. So I'd be disappointed if I bring up Disney Plus that morning and it says like 25 minutes. I'll be like, what?
Yeah, I mean, the finale of Clone Wars was 25 minutes, so I wouldn't be surprised if it is just that normal length, but of course I would prefer it to be longer.
I'm hopeful that they bookend it with nice long episodes, because the very first episode was almost an hour, I think. So having the last episode be extra long. I need to actually see if this is true and source this. I can try to do that, but I could have sworn they renewed the show for another 16 episodes, and we're only getting 15.
Oh, okay.
So I'm wondering if 15 is basically a 2-parter.
That makes sense.
Oh, you mean this current season we're in?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, they didn't renew.
Yeah, for a second you confused me, like, oh, we're
sorry.
season.
I could have sworn that season 3 was initially meant to be 16 episodes. I think they said that at Star Wars Celebration. Maybe that changed, or maybe 16 episodes became 14 episodes and then one nice big long one.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Rollins, thanks for being a member of the 603rd. I don't want Crosshair to die. We need more redemption arcs to actually keep living than dying, and his development has been incredible this series.
Oh my God.
Do not want him to die.
I went from 0 to 60 on Crosshair. I was kind of like, I don't care what happens to him. He's had so many chances to do better. And then when we found out his chip wasn't even in his head, like all that stuff, I was kind of like, I don't care what happens to him. And now I'm like, he has to live. He has to be the one that's there to like help Omega. And this season has been incredible for him. I just did like a full turn on what I think of Crosshair, and I kind of love it.
Yeah, the same way. And I kind of, when this season started, if I kind of was looking forward to the end, I was like, I have a feeling that like one of our main team is going to sacrifice himself. And like over the season, it's changed who I thought that was going to be. I'm now leaning towards, I think it might be Hunter, but I don't know. I think all of them would make sense if any of them have a sacrificial moment. But like I said, now I definitely would like to see Crosshair make it, because it would be nice to see somebody finally redeem themselves and then not, like now they're dead.
Yeah.
It's funny. I saw a really great Reddit post a couple days ago just about Crosshair's journey, and it made me want to go start the whole thing over. But some of the lines that he said specifically about Omega, when they catch up to all of them on Braca, I think he orders his soldiers to aim for the kid. And you're like, oh my God, I forgot how messed up Crosshair was.
He was bad.
Yeah. And to see him come all the way back around, it's been impressive.
I mean, that same episode on Braca, when he basically has him like, hey, my brothers are in the ship engine. Turn the ship engine in. Let's cook them alive,
Yeah.
I would like to think his chip was still in his head at that point.
Hopefully.
And then it got taken out after he was blasted with the ship engine. But who knows?
I don't know that. For me, I don't think that we're going to see another big main character sacrifice, because I guess I'm still hurting for what happened to Tech. I'm just like, they wouldn't take another of the main Bad Batch characters out, would they? Unless maybe Echo is the one to sack. I don't want to see that happen, but after everything he's been through, it's possible. I hope there's not another big sacrifice moment.
I think before the High Republic, I'd probably say like nobody's going to die, but the High Republic's got me so conditioned now. Like, oh, Star Wars is now willing to kill off anybody. That almost now I kind of expect that in all new Star Wars content. Like, well, they're just going to start killing people because that's what they do in the High Republic now. And now they know, like, oh, that bag's been open. We can do that now.
That's true.
I think that what happened with Tekken Season 2 has done its job because it makes us feel extra tense in every episode. It, like Juggernaut, I was worried that Wrecker wasn't going to make it off the tank onto the ship. And it's because what happened to Tech. So I think that we'll just be nice and tense throughout the finale, but my fingers are crossed that everyone makes it out okay. Except for Hemlock.
Yeah.
Ice, thank you for another super chat. I don't know what this was in reference to. It says it's definitely quality over quantity with him. I don't remember what we were talking about. That was like 15 minutes ago.
Was that Hemlock?
Maybe.
Yeah.
But Ice also said, I wasn't sure if he was going to successfully... Oh, Echo was going to successfully lower the sensors before being caught. He only just about got it done, and now he's heading back to the lion den. I can't read anymore. I got that brain frog. And now he's heading into the lion's den without the rest of the batch or Rex's backup. Do we think they'll be able to send a message to Rex once they detach out of hyperspace, or does the shuttle not have that kind of range?
Ice was talking about Echo's storytelling being quality over quantity.
That makes sense. Okay.
That makes sense. Send a message to Rex once they detach. I would I keep waiting for them to contact the rest of them so that they can all kind of come in and help somehow, but I don't know if they'll get a chance to.
I'd almost have a feeling like they maybe not be able to contact somebody until they actually get onto the Tantiss base itself. And like once they're in there, Echo or somebody goes into a room and like, oh, we've sent out the beacon, type of moment.
Yeah, it makes sense that it would be Echo to do that.
That would be my guess for now, because I really hope that we see our other group of heroes come in and save the day. I want to see more Hauser. Obviously, I want to see Rex. So I guess that's their only option, is to get a message out once they know for sure where Tantiss is, and they can, I guess, just beam the direct coordinates to their friends.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Kieran Grist has a challenge for you specifically, Molly. Baron versus Grogu. Go.
I don't want to. They're too cute. But
which one's cuter?
Baron is an actual baby.
Okay.
I don't know what that means, but I'm just putting that out there.
What if they give Baron like a Grogu doll or something like that? We could have a combo.
Yes. If Baron were to lose the doll, which would be sad, but if they gave him a Grogu doll, that would be hilarious.
What if Grogu had a Grogu doll? Now what?
I don't know that he would get that, if he would understand.
What if we find out like if Baron's actually 50 years old too, and we just thought he was a baby,
Are there no actual babies in Star Wars?
No babies.
They're all 50. That would be funny. I cannot answer that.
Won't.
It's not in my programming to answer that question.
That's fine. I think that's okay to not want to choose between cuties.
I'm going to pull a 3PO. I can't impersonate deities, and I can't choose cute babies.
Stuart Lugston wants to know if Fintress is going to show up again.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I agree.
I loved her moment, and it was like a much smaller moment for the show than we thought it was going to be, but we keep hearing rumors that there's something else coming for her. I don't know if it's going to be in Tales of the Jedi or Tales of the Empire, or if she's going to have her own show, but I think her part is done for Bad Batch.
I think so too. And yeah, they said that they assured us that future stories would tell us how she survived and all that. So I don't really think there needs to be more for her in here. Maybe in an epilogue, maybe, but I don't think she'll be a big part of the finale.
I don't think, other than the kids that are there, I don't think we'll see any Force users. I'd be surprised if, anything in that product. Because to me, it seems like this should be the clone storyline, not let's randomly cram in some Force users into this.
Totally agree.
Yeah. Although I do hope that her and Omega get to hang out again. I wanted to see them be friends some more.
I was going to let you do one, Molly.
Oh. Where are we at here? Ice has the next couple of super chats. Echo could send a message from the base that will raise an alarm immediately, like when Crosshair did in season 2. So not sure they will call for help.
That's a good point. I didn't think about how Crosshair was able to get a message out. So that to me feels like there's a chance.
But Echo might be able to, because he's got the arm thingy, he might be able to bypass the alarm somehow. We don't really know how his arm works. It's just really useful.
The same way R2's Scomp Link works. It just does.
Yeah. And Ice goes on to say, Rampart was actually quite funny and really useful in this episode. I liked the banter, but I still don't trust him as far as Wrecker can throw him. Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty far.
he did what they wanted him to do. He could have got there in uniform and then immediately been like, hey, these guys are holding me hostage. They're clones, trying to mess all this up. But he didn't.
Yeah, he could have sold him out several different times. So yeah, he's just waiting for his perfect moment.
Yeah, I still think there's a chance that it could happen, but we'll see. Now that they're dragging him all the way to Tantiss.
He's definitely proved that he's always in it for himself, because he wouldn't tell them anything until they got him completely off that prison planet. So I think given the chance, he's going to continue to do stuff like that until he gets whatever he wants.
Especially now, I mean, he might make some sort of deal like, I'll tell you X if you get me off of Tantiss.
Yeah.
They keep taking him into all these dangerous situations.
What if he's like, I'd rather be on the prison planet than here?
Yeah. He might know what all's down there. I'll bring up another one about another potentially returning character from Star Orange 36. Do you think we'll see Sid again? I need justice.
We talk. I feel like we talk about Sid every episode leading into the finale here, because everyone's wondering if she's coming back. I think she's gone for good.
I do too.
Yeah, I think if we were going to see her, it'd been earlier in the season. At this point, to me, it doesn't really make sense anymore. She's been gone so long at this point, and why would she be at Tantiss?
I think that if it wasn't going to happen today, then it's not going to happen, because maybe there would have been something that she knew to help them get there. But obviously, Rampart makes so much more sense for the story. So I'm guessing no on Sid, unless they do that epilogue I keep saying that I want, where they kick everyone's door in and get justice in the final scenes.
Well, we got the mention of the Trandoshan from the CX clone, and I feel like that was probably our last mention of her.
Yeah.
Ice also goes on to say, that's 2 weeks in a row now that a movement involving Rampart has given me a good laugh. Granted, he was unconscious for the first one, but still. He's got some really great moments.
That throw onto the ship is still one of my favorite things in this series. Also, before that, Ice had said, I like the moment where they had Rampart in uniform to disguise himself, and he complains that it's a captain's and he was a vice admiral. I was just like, get over yourself, you moof milker.
That's so Rampart, though.
Yeah, I like that he thought it mattered at all what his fake uniform would be. Maybe it's part of getting into character.
Yeah, to him, he's like, I can do so much more for you as a vice admiral, but they're like, this is all we got for you, man.
Yep. Bradley Conboy, thank you for the super chat. I want to see Gonky ride in on the Zilla Beast and save the batch on Tantiss. I am sad that they had to leave Gonky
behind, yeah.
And I guess Batcher behind. Maybe they'll both come in. The last episode is called The Cavalry Has Arrived. That is one of the first lines, or maybe the first line any member of the Bad Batch says in the Clone Wars. And people have been guessing maybe the cavalry will now be the other clones, Rex and company. So maybe Gonky and Batcher can be part of the cavalry.
Yeah, Gonky is not built for speed, stealth, action. Gonky is built for comfort and convenience, and that's it.
Maybe there'll be a key moment where there'll need to be a droid fight or something in there, and Gonky can come in and save the day.
Kind of like
power.
That R5D4 moment where all the mouse droids are bumping into him in The Mandalorian. That we'll do that again, but with Gonky.
He just says gonk and like kicks them off a ledge.
And Darth Nicholas, thank you for being a member of the 603rd. Not gonna lie, I kind of dig the look of the batch's paintless helmets, since it's close to how they would appear if they served as Imperial commandos. Having the entire batch as Imperial commandos in season 1 before gradually becoming disillusioned with the Empire would have been my pitch for Bad Batch, but that's a discussion for another stream. Well, we got Crosshair in there as kind of a commando, a special trooper.
Yeah.
I did think their armor looked cool, but it made me sad that they had to get rid of their paint jobs.
We still haven't. Well, I wonder how many other CX clones they have on Tantiss.
Well, there's more to see for sure, because Hemlock was doing something shifty at the start of 12. I can't remember which episode it was.
Yeah. We saw something about them and like a new helmet and some kind of weapon. So I definitely think they'll come back, but I wonder how many there are, because they feel like special projects.
We'll see something. But yeah. I think that is going to do it for our stream tonight. But before we head out, Kyle, thank you for joining us. First of all, it was great chatting with you. Oh, did Kyle freeze? Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Well, I'll give him a second to maybe hopefully come back so he can plug his channel. But in the meantime, I'll talk about his channel. Kyle is a friend of ours from DragonCon. We've done several panels with him. He reviews not just Star Wars books, but all books. But there is a heavy focus on Star Wars. He reviews The Bad Batch as well. I thought he was just sitting very still.
He may come back in.
Yeah, I'll give him a second. There he is. Okay.
Oh, of course.
I thought you were sitting so still for a while. I was like, hey, Kyle, let everyone know how to find you. And then you were just like, it was a very pleasant face.
Awesome. Glad it froze that. Yeah.
Yeah, it could have frozen on something much worse.
I was like, what just happened? It's like, it just flicked. I was like, oh, that's not good.
Well, we reached the end of the stream, so let everyone know what your channel is about, where they can find you and follow you.
Hey, yep, I'm returned. Yep. There's always a return in Star Wars. Yep. My you can find me on YouTube. Channel name is YHCTower. Talk a lot about Star Wars. I do episode reviews for all the shows. A lot of book stuff about Star Wars. As Alex mentioned earlier, I also read a lot of other random books. A lot of other fun book reviews on there and stuff like that. So if you like Star Wars, if you like books, there should be some stuff for you on my channel, and all my other social media links you can find on my channel. But just YHCTower. Which is, if you want to know where my name came from, is my AOL Instant Messenger screen name from college.
Nice.
And it's just continued on. So like, keep the tradition going on. Yeah.
That's
Back in
mine
the
was
good old days.
Yeah, mine was demonstration, and I still use that for a ton of things, all my gamer tags and stuff.
I don't know when I started Mollymander, but that was my username for a lot of stuff.
Sometime when Pokemon was popular, probably.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was ages ago.
Okay. Well, we're going to wrap up, but there's one more from Darth Nicholas. Thanks so much. Seeing the brief shot of clone pilots on the base was a good reminder that the Empire isn't intent on phasing out all clones. I only saw new TK pilots. There were pilots with like TK trooper helmets and like tubes going into their chest boxes. And I think StarWars.com even talked about how they're like proto-TIE pilot troopers of some kind. But I didn't notice any clone pilots, but MC Lego Boy did, so I'll have to keep an eye out next time I watch it.
I believe that
blink and you'll miss it. If anyone would notice, it's Darth Nicholas.
That's true.
So I'll have to go back and look. But we're going to wrap up for the night. Kyle, thanks so much again for joining us for the stream. Can't wait to hang out at Dragon Con.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks for having me.
Yay.
Thank all of you for watching or listening if you're on the podcast version. Have a great night, and may the Force be with you.